Welcome back to Cooking with Sugarlicious. I am Sugar, and today's show, I have something so wonderful. We're going to do stuffed pork chops. These are simply beautiful. And what I'm going to do is I started with some dressing and I stuffed a turkey for Thanksgiving time. And so now I'm going to use some dressing that I just made. Let me get this out of the oven. Now, isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. I need to get an egg. I crack the egg and it goes right into the bowl. And then I'm going to take just a little bit at a time until I get it thoroughly mixed up. And the dressing was made with cornbread, breadcrumbs, croutons. And the breadcrumbs were French bread, whole wheat bread, whole grain bread, pita bread, tortillas, everything I had left in the refrigerator and in the freezer, because I knew that I was going to want some stuffed pork chops. And the ends of the bread, don't throw them away. Just put them in the freezer and make your dressing, or either make, time to taste, very good. Very good. So now, what I have done, you just want to take a small knife and you want to slice open your pork chop. And then you want to add some of the dressing. If you have a problem with touching food, like when you make meatloaf, and I know there are people that do, and it's okay, use a rubber glove. Use a rubber glove. Now you see how that's stuffed in there? That means there's enough moisture in the dressing to be able to hold into the pork chop. And you're going to do that with all four. And just a little bit at a time so you can stay in control of your food and of your cooking. And you want it to be a little doughy, but remember the bread is already cooked. So to the stuffing, I had sage, onion powder, garlic powder, basil, tarragon, rosemary, and dill, mushrooms, celery, onions. And you see, you just make a little pocket like that. I have a pork pita. That was funny to me. Anyway, this is very easy to do, and it really doesn't take that much time, especially because you're using breads that you've already had, and it's already cooked. And remember, you can add as little or as much as you'd like. And I added also some olive oil over the chops. They're going to go into the oven, 350 degrees. And we'll be checking them in just a few moments. Also today, I'm going to be making a giblet gravy. and I like giblet gravy, and the giblet is the neck, and it can be the turkey neck or it can be the chicken neck, celery, onions, and I've let this has been on over to the side cooling, and then I have the livers as well. And you want to get all of that out. You want to take the meat off of the bone, reserving the juice. You do not want to get rid of the juice, which has your seasonings in it as well. So all you're doing basically is just taking the meat off the bone, and it's going to go into the gravy. And this is something that can be done overnight. It can be done a week ahead of time. If you're going to be having a company come, it can be done at any given point in time, and you can freeze it. So what we're just doing is taking the bones off, the meat off of the bones. Again, if you have a problem playing with your food, put gloves on. It's okay. And to that seasoning, again, I have poultry seasoning, sage, a little oregano, a little cumin, garlic powder, onion powder. All the flavors that you need for your dressing. And all the flavors for the giblet. Now, some people don't like liver, and some people don't like gizzards. So it's the texture that it makes for me that I really enjoy. Okay. You can use turkey necks, which have much more meat on them, instead of the chicken necks, but it's what's available at the time that you go shopping. Okay. All right, and then what you want to do, this is the livers, and you just cut them up. Now, those of you that make that dirty rice, y'all know what I'm doing and what all this is about. Newcomers, just work with it, because the end result is going to be pure satisfaction. Okay, a little more. This is all going into gravy. Okay. All right, smelling good and looking good. Remember, when you're dealing with poultry, no matter hot or cold, raw or cooked, you want to really keep your area clean. Okay. Now there's some broth that was left in there that I'm going to use. All that's flavoring. Okay. And what I did on the gravy, I went ahead and used the brown gravy turkey in the jar rather than in the packet, for the reason I like nice, smooth gravy. And to that, I added the sage and the other spices. So now I'm going to add the meat to it. And we have giblet gravy. Now, some people, they add a boiled egg, if you like. Some people will add nuts to the gravy as well, but I just like the meat. And there's, okay, you always want to make certain that you do a little taste. Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. What we have now is this beautiful pork loin. Is that beautiful? I think that is so beautiful. That's my favorite meat because what comes from that is your pork chop as well as the tenderloin. You can slice it as thick or as thin as you'd like. And I'm just going to lift this up out of here because it's been sitting, so it's cooled. It's cooled now. And you can, I've got a little gravy, little juice, or juice left in here. That is so wonderful. The dressing is going to go around there. So once again, you can slice it using, don't forget, your wonderful meat thermometer. And you want to always insert it in the thickest, which is usually the middle part of the loin, whether it's the beef tenderloin or the pork tenderloin. This is the way that you tell the temperature and what the temperature should be. Always remembering also that meat continues to cook after it has been taken off of the heat. So you can have medium, rare, well, medium well on your beef. You want to have well on your pork. But if you use the thermometer, you will be assured that you will have perfect temperature all the way around. You see how beautiful that is? And this is called a pork tenderloin. And what I did before I put it in the oven is the day that I purchased it, I seasoned it. And to the seasoning, I put it, after seasoning, I put it in the freezer. And it stayed in the freezer all the way until this morning at 7 o'clock. And then it went into the oven for 1 hour at 350 degrees. Then I turned it down to 220 and let the rest of it cook. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 people. So I need one more slice. Also, we have wonderful vegetables that we can use today, which is great. We're going to have the roasted red potatoes and green beans and the butternut squash. I'm going to cook them as directed in the microwave, but then I'm going to turn them into Sugarlicious. All right? And again, you're only looking at 5 minutes. And just put them in there just as I'm going to do 2 of them at one time because that's just the way I'm going to cook. And I'm going to set it over here for 5 minutes. Wash my hands off. Let that get going. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put the roast back into the pan. and I'm going to arrange. Those are just some great